Pennywise, star of Stephen King's horror novel It and the adapted movies. He's the It. It's the It. It is It. It is It. Pennywise is an ancient cosmic horror shapeshifter who awakens every 27 years to eat kids in the town of Derry by making them scared. The book and movies are about a group of kids and later adults who get spooked by it and fight back. It's mostly a story about Pennywise shapeshifting into various things to scare the kids and the adults being oblivious and abusive due to its influence.
Why'd you do this to your hair? Makes you look like a boy.
But why am I talking about this right now? Well, the new prequel show, It, Welcome to Derry, just wrapped up its first season, and after finishing it, I realized something about Pennywise. He may be charismatic and fun to watch, but he isn't a super compelling horror monster. He's more like a comic book villain. Viewers like him and find him charming and want to see him on screen, and the kids in the movie are scared, but in my opinion, you don't come away from the movie scared of Pennywise. And why is that? Well, I think it's actually a pretty easy question to answer. Ultimately, Pennywise is always beaten by our brave heroes. He always loses, and we always get a happy ending. At the end of the first movie, the kids in the film banish him, and at the end of the second, as adults, they kill him. And part of the allure of a prequel series is that because of this, we know that Pennywise is going to win this time. We're promised some dread, but that's not quite how it goes. Now, before I talk more about this, I want to talk about horror. What its purpose is, why we watch it, what are we supposed to get out of it. Horror as a genre is, of course, meant to be stories that scare us, obviously. They make us feel dread and terror. They make us want to cower and shy away and stop watching. There's something magnetic and exciting, something seductive about that feeling. The fact that a piece of art can make you feel that way, that you know it isn't real but can't help but be so absorbed by it that it actually scares you. That after it's finished, you feel it, even though it's no longer on screen. As an extension of that feeling, of that purposeful embrace of emotions we normally prefer to avoid, horror usually also makes you feel sad, upset, despondent, disgusted. These are all part of the DNA of what the genre is. And justifiably, lots of people and audiences aren't a fan of that. That's totally fine. But that is what the genre is. Maybe it's obvious based on how I'm talking about it, but I do love horror. For how many stories out there want to hold your hand and give you exactly what you want, it's somehow compelling for something to just kick you in the teeth because it likes hurting you. Before we get to it, I also want to talk a little bit about Goosebumps. The Goosebumps books by R.L. Stine are children's horror. They're expressly for young kids. I used to go to the bookstore just to see if there were any new sick covers with tantalizing summaries. The Haunted Mask, Monster Blood, The Curse of Camp Cold Lake, The Horror at Camp Jelly Jam. Oh my fucking god. Look at that guy. What's the summary on this one? Okay, wait. Camp Jelly Jam is no ordinary sports camp. The counselors are a little too happy, a little too obsessed with winning. He does look pretty happy. I gotta read this one. These images are etched into my fucking brain. A lot of these stories stuck with me, but I don't always remember the names of the characters or the general plots of the books. What I will always remember, what I do remember, are the endings. The Curse at Camp Cold Lake is a ghost story about a girl at camp who gets bullied and can't find a buddy, which is really important at Camp Cold Lake, I guess. So she meets a ghost. The ghost spends the book trying to kill her and is obsessed with making her its buddy. You know, buddy is important. You gotta have a buddy. It's scary and impossible to fight a ghost, but she's saved by another camper, which is great news. The end. Except, in the last moments of the book, the girl reveals that she's a ghost as well. And her last line, "Will you be my buddy?" And the book ends. Maybe you're not spooked by the Camp Cold Lake tale. But as a kid, this is fucking effective. You expect what happens in all the movies you watch, all the books you've read. The girl gets away, we're getting a happy ending. But no, it smiles at you and it punches you in the face. It ends on fear, on the promise of a child's death. It forces you to sit in despair and feel trapped. You're in the dark and you just have to try to get to sleep. Every Goosebumps book ended some way like this, and that's what made them so addicting, so fun, and what drew me to their aisle at the bookstore. They hit me in a way that, as a kid, nothing else had. And you can find that feeling in all types of horror with the right kinds of endings. Hereditary will leave you feeling disturbed and upset. Final Destination, like a gross voyeur. Saw, like a complicit sadist. In John Carpenter's The Thing, you're never sure if the monster is really gone. Even the survivors are infected with paranoia and confusion. There's no triumph in horror. If there is, it's only there to trick you, to make it all the more sickening to watch it get snatched away. The monsters in these movies, for those that have them, are elevated by this attitude. They're unstoppable. They will do to you what you do not want done, and you cannot get away. If you see them, it's too late. To be scary, these can't be the stories of how you beat the monster, of how you are okay, of how you are safe. And that brings us to it, to Pennywise. I don't want to talk too much about the book. For one thing, I actually really love it, but I don't think the ending of either the child or adult story works particularly well in the book either. But the thing is that books are a different medium than film. It is over 1,000 pages long. I read it over a long period of time, and there were days where I would read it and be scared and disturbed. I didn't have to get to the ending within a couple hours. I could sit and ruminate in the town, the monster, the characters. I could read just a section about Patrick Hofstadter and go to bed satisfied. The ending doesn't define the book the way it does in film. The movie, though, is unfortunately defined by that ending. It starts so strong, viscerally portraying the death of Georgie Denborough, showing you that this thing is serious, this thing is scary, it's going to play with you and make you feel pain. And as Pennywise spends the movie tormenting these kids, their acting is solid enough that they come off sufficiently scared, yet childishly unaware of just how much danger they're in.
Who wants to stay out here?
Fuck.
The tone here makes sense. Adults in Derry are supernaturally indifferent. You get this sense that these kids are trapped. There's no one to help. There's no escaping this. There are hiccups in terms of horror here. I mean, Pennywise rarely kills anyone important. He appears to a kid, he goes, bugga, 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 bug, and disappears for some reason.
Where you going, Ed? If you lived here, you'd be home by now.
Instead of picking off members of the group, ratcheting up the terror for the survivors, the characters get less alone as we go. They group up and are learning the value of teamwork, but we do have an effective setting. We have effective characters. We have an effective monster. The ending is where we cut the legs right off the concept. Pennywise loses, is made to look weak, is just beaten up. And you realize that this scene, this supposed climax, isn't in any way scary. You aren't on the edge of your seat. Then you realize that this whole thing was fun. Not in a smiling through your broken teeth sort of way, but it was just fun. Pennywise is no longer a horror monster, he's a supervillain. A fun, charismatic character for our heroes to defeat. He isn't there to be scary, he's there to make the audience feel triumphant, to feel like our heroes are winning.
Welcome to the Losers Club, asshole!
Horror purposefully gives you what you dreaded, not what you wanted. But instead here we get something limp, something toothless, exactly what your impulse told you wanted. And so Pennywise is defeated, although notably not dead. And that's where the other movie comes in. And here, any sort of dour or disturbing tone just falls away completely.
Is everything all right?
Yeah. Yeah, can we get the check?
I like It Chapter 1 despite the ending. I just think Pennywise is more villain than monster. But Chapter 2, I'm not a fan of. As the kids return to Derry to kill Pennywise once and for all, the whole thing just loses any semblance of horror that the first one had, with the childlike underestimation of danger coming off so comedic in the adults, with so many jokes, that it's basically a comedy movie with some jump scares in it. The old woman scene stands out as building tension well. The direction is good here, but it's almost a short film. The characters barely talk about the things that happen to them, don't react in any sort of relatable or scary way, that the horror comes off as plastic and fake. The grand, dull, Marvel movie-esque final battle with a giant CGI spider with Pennywise's face couldn't possibly be less frightening. And there's no misapprehension that our heroes could lose here. This is the formula after all, and there's already no deviating from it. You as the audience never even believe they might. Look at this fucking scene of Bill Hader.
You wanna play truth or dare? Here's the truth. You're a sloppy bitch. Yeah, that's right. Let's dance. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Why should I be taking any of this seriously if none of the characters are? And so they kill him. They just insult him, and I guess that's all it takes.
Wow.
And that's the end of It Chapter 2. Apparently everyone just fucking lives happily ever after. Apparently the whole thing was a fairy tale. And so finally I want to talk about the new prequel series, about Welcome to Derry. This undoubtedly sins worse than all of them, because not only does it no longer have to follow the source material so strictly, but the source material actually demands that Pennywise be at his terrifying peak. We know he isn't killed here. We've seen that. We know he is going to kill children who will be abused in this evil town, and we're finally going to see what this monster can really be. And the first episode is the best this series has ever been. It's new, so I'll say that I'm spoiling the new show here. But in the first episode, a new team of kids, in 1962 this time, is assembled. A new group of kids have been seeing horrors that don't seem possible, but something is stalking them. Something is trying to kill them. And they decide to find out what's going on and try and stop the thing. We learn about some of their home lives, we get some nice introductions for some eccentric personalities, and it seems like it's going to be fun enough. It seems like it's going to be a fun show to follow. And as the end of the episode approaches and Pennywise attacks, and at this point you're just going through the motions, something unexpected finally happens. Blood is raining, screams are feeling earned, because almost all of these kids are being brutally, viciously murdered. It feels mean and cruel in a way that we rarely got in the other movies. It has that magnetic, commanding quality that was promised but never delivered. But tragically, the show can't actually maintain that feeling. It turns out to be just another flicker of potential. Its concern is starting a fucking Stephen King cinematic universe. Its concern is showing the set pieces, which are cool. They're always cool. They're fun. But in classic It fashion, nearly everyone constantly gets away. Determined. And yeah, they're fucking triumphant. It weaves racism into the town pretty well, but neuters the source of the horror even more by having adults on the side of the kids, cutting that trapped, inevitable feeling even more cleanly out of the story. I don't want to ruminate too much on the plot details of the show, but just suffice to say that the kids get a magic Pennywise defeating crystal, and they defeat him with it. He says a catchphrase, and that's it.
Lively crowd.
Disney-esque fucking slop. A monster that's supposed to feed on kids every 27 years until he's sated and hibernates, it turns out, needs to hibernate not because he's full, but because a bunch of kids beat the shit out of him every single time. What's more impotent than that? There's a teaser for the next season here that's going to take place another 27 years earlier that feels like Commissioner Gordon with a Joker card.
But what if he tries to go back and kill someone from the time before we were born? Like our parents?
I guess it'll be someone else's fight.
Waves a calling card.
And I think we know what's going to happen in 1935 in season 2. Just some Great Depression kid will kick Pennywise in the balls and laugh at him, and we'll laugh. I don't know. I just don't think that you can justifiably call this horror. A horror story is supposed to leave you uncomfortable and small and upset and fucking scared. It should make your heart beat, make you want to tear your eyes away from the screen. It should make you despair. There can't be escape, there can't be hope or satisfaction. Your instincts may tell you that you want those things, but when you watch a horror story, whether you admit it to yourself or not, what you want deep down is for the monster to win.
You're supposed to say 3.